Hello, my friends. My name is Jimmy Lynn Rice, founder and CEO of Girls Night In International. Girls Night In is all about empowering hope. Girls Night In unpacks the lies of the culture and the lies in our own heads that are causing us to make self destructive choices. You are here for a very important reason, and thank you for joining us for our Girls Night In training workshop. You're here because you want to make a difference in your community. You see what's happening in the lives of the teen girls and the young men, and you want to do something to offer help. Girls Night In will give you the tools and a proven program to make a difference in the lives of those kids who are destroying themselves. So it's our desire that you leave this training workshop today energized and excited to see where you fit in and how your skills can be used in the lives of kids who really need you. So welcome and thanks for joining us. Before we go forward, I want to tell you my story. I want to share with you my heart and my passion and how this thing called Girls Night In all began. I've spent my life basically as a professional musician and educator. And it was while teaching at a local public high school that I saw so many kids destroying themselves. And I made a choice as a teacher, instead of hanging out in the faculty lounge during my breaks, I made the decision to start hanging out in the girls' restroom. Because as you know, that's where real life takes place. After lunch, purging, girls afraid of being pregnant, addiction issues, the whole mean girl, toxic relationship syndrome, girls terrified of going home because perhaps a stepdad is waiting for them and mama's not going to be off of work for a couple of hours. And those stories kept ringing in my head and my heart, and I knew I needed to do something to help these girls who were struggling. So began Girls Night In my home, thinking maybe 10 or 12 girls would meet in my basement that first evening. But the first night of Girls Night In, 55 girls showed up. And within that first year, girls began coming from 12, 13, 15, 17 different high schools all around Indianapolis. So that is the story of how we began. And I want to share with you the proven program that will help you make a difference in your community. So if you will take your workshop training manual, and what we're going to do together is we're going to talk about three basic things: the why. Why does Girls Night In International exist? The what. What does Girls Night In do to address the real need of young women in today's culture? And then thirdly, the how. How do you launch a Girls Night In affiliate in your community? What are the next steps to launch Girls Night In? If you'll turn with me to session 1, why does Girls Night In International exist? Basically, as I shared with you our story, I say often that our teen girls do not live in a PG-13 world, but they are parked in R-rated and X-rated constantly. So our target girl for a Girls Night In evening, for a Girls Night In event, is a product of this generation, as I call it, a pagan culture. They are guided by the voice of this culture. Truth to them is what their friends say, Facebook, Twitter, the voice of the culture, MTV, media. So these kids grow up with no knowledge of God, no concept that they have a maker or a creator, much less someone who actually has a plan for their life. So it's no surprise that they are trying to medicate the pain that is very real and fill that empty hole, that void in their lives with anything they can to try to satisfy their need to be loved and to be accepted for who they are. Our target Girls Night In girl is lacking positive adult influence in her life, probably no roots or stable family life. Often she's from a split family with multiple half-siblings and step-siblings. She desperately needs a place of refuge, and she's seeking somebody who is going to truly love her and care for her. The culture of Girls Night In is so important because the teen girls who come our way are often just raising themselves, as you well know. And it's really important when they come to Girls Night In, we have a strategic culture that we try to create. There are 2 phrases that I've coined and trademarked that really say and express the message of what Girls Night In is all about. Welcome to Girls Night In, where you are welcome, wanted, and valued. And secondly, welcome to Girls Night In, where you are loved more than you can imagine. Several years ago, those phrases came to mind, and I think that just sums up exactly what we want to communicate, because everybody wants to feel welcomed, everybody wants to feel loved, and they need to know that they're valued, because often their family doesn't value them. Perhaps their mother is seeking love herself, and she's out half the night, maybe at a bar, trying to find the next lover for her. And the girl is home raising her siblings and getting them dressed and ready for school the next morning. And she really never has a childhood herself because she's expected pretty much to be the adult in the family. So we want our girls to know that they are loved more than they can imagine. It's really important with our girls that we purposefully create a culture where they feel safe and they know that Girls Night In is a refuge for them. So we strategically use certain lingo and verbiage to communicate that to them so there's not a barrier, and that they instantly feel at home and know that they are safe. For instance, when I'm introducing our leaders who serve with me in Girls Night In, I will say, actually I will tell you what I don't say. I will not say, please help me welcome the leaders who are here at Girls Night In to teach you. They want to instruct you on what you need to do differently with your life. Instead, I will say, I want you to join me in welcoming my friends who are here to serve with me in Girls Night In, and they are here for one reason, and that is the back of your t-shirt. There is one topic or more on the back of this t-shirt where we almost destroyed ourselves, and we did not have something like Girls Night In to help us. So my friends are here for one reason, and that is to give you what we did not have. So it's really important that we choose our words carefully and that we create a culture that is safe and welcoming and accepting to our girls. If you will take a look at the mission and vision of Girls Night In International, this is really important for you to understand what we're about and why we do what we do. The mission of Girls Night In is empowering teen girls to make wise choices through addressing life-altering issues and negative cultural influences, thereby providing the tools to rescue them from self-destructive behavior. And notice that we did not say we rescue them, because that is a choice we each must make for ourselves, but we do provide the tools. Then the girls have to decide what they want to do with those tools and whether they want to make choices that are going to help them. We offer a place of refuge and hope, and we provide life guidance based on principles of truth. Our vision at Girls Night In International is to empower and energize a global network of women to lead Girls Night In affiliates, thereby mentoring and influencing generations. I want to share with you a very personal story here about our vision. I remember a few years ago when I was working through our mission and vision statement in order for us to become a nonprofit. And I remember wrestling with actually putting on paper exactly the vision that was burning in my heart regarding Girls Night In. And a gentleman who was mentoring me asked me regarding our vision. At that point, I had written down the vision of Girls Night In is to empower and energize a local network of women to lead Girls Night In affiliates, thereby mentoring and influencing generations. And he said to me, Jimmy, is that your vision or is that God's vision? And I hated him for asking me that question because I said, no, that's a vision that I feel safe putting on paper because I don't want people to think that I'm a dreamer and I'm arrogant. And he said, you need to put on paper what the vision that God is planting in your heart. And so I scribbled that out, and then I wrote in the vision of Girls Night In is to empower and energize a national network of women because I could see how this could make a difference across our country. And then once again, he asked me that penetrating question. So, Jimmy, is that your vision or is that God's vision? And I said, I'm scared to write what God's vision is because it seems impossible. And he said, that's why it's a God vision, because when God is behind something, when he is driving something, it is impossible because only he can do it. And so I finally wrote the words that were actually burning in my heart that I was scared to articulate. And that is what you just wrote down on your paper. And the vision of Girls Night In is to empower and energize a global network of women, that would be you, to lead Girls Night In affiliates, thereby mentoring and influencing generations. And I want you to know that we are strategically, here at Girls Night In International Headquarters, strategically positioning our organization to be sustainable and to transcend way beyond our lifetimes. Our goal is that our girls who are impacted through Girls Night In want the same thing for the next generation coming up after them. And we're actually having a leadership training academy, training our girls to do that because that's exactly what's happening. Some of our girls who have been a part of Girls Night In all through their high school years and have been so strategically transformed and changed are now coming back after college wanting to serve and becoming a mentor themselves. And so it's our job to pass the baton to them so that they can in turn mentor the next generation. And that is our goal. How will Girls Night In accomplish this? We will provide, first of all, a safe refuge. Secondly, we will provide a structured framework, monthly Girls Night In large group events. Thirdly, we will give young women the tools to analyze their decisions and their choices. 4, provide small group discussion sessions. 5, provide positive, engaging female mentors or role models. And 6, provide life guidance based on principles of truth. What sets apart Girls Night In? What makes us different from other organizations? First of all, we're not just a one-time event like a conference or a camp or a retreat, but Girls Night In is about a continual presence in the lives of our girls, mentoring and walking through the messiness of life with them. And it is a lifetime mentoring. Basically, we provide 3-tier mentoring, 3 levels of mentoring. The structured monthly large group teaching, our Girls Night In events. Secondly, small group discussion and mentoring. And then thirdly, one-on-one mentoring for each girls. In session 2, we want to talk about the what. What does Girls Night In do to address the real needs of teen girls, of young women in today's culture? The format of Girls Night In is strategic, and there are basically 3 elements of a Girls Night In event. first, there's a speaker who shares her personal story um, about the topic where she has made destructive choices, what was happening in her own mind, in her life, perhaps in her home, with her friends, what was going on around her that contributed to why she made the choices she did, and then strategically how she made the turn, perhaps how God intersected her life to cause her to recognize where she was destroying herself, and then on the back side, what areas, how she still has to put boundaries around herself, or what thinking choices she has to go through to make sure that she keeps on track and doesn't fall back into that default mode and making choices that are going to destroy her again. I think it's really important that our speaker is candid about that. We want our speaker to be candid and raw, even about on the backside, how it's still a decision to make choices that are going to keep you moving in a positive direction. Because it's not right. It's not fair to paint a picture to our girls that is false, and we will not do that. We'll be honest and candid about the fact that we still have to make choices that are healthy. The second element of Girls Night In evening is small group discussion, and we have small groups of basically 5 to 10 girls that are led by 2 small group leaders. We pair someone my age with another young woman who is perhaps in her 20s or 30s, and they are the 2 small group leaders. So you've got an older woman and a younger woman pouring into the group of girls. Because what I've learned over these years of doing Girls Night In is that some of our girls really need more of a mother figure, and some of the girls relate more to almost an older sister. And so that has worked really well to have 2 small group leaders per group of girls. And then the third element of Girls Night In evening is the teaching. And for that, we do what we call Letter from Jimmy. And basically, that is a letter that I've written to the girls ahead of time on the topic. Sometimes I will tell stories on myself where I have not chosen wisely. It's always lots of practical guidance and infused with truth, principles of truth that will guide our lives and lead us toward healthy choices. So those are the 3 elements of Girls Night In. And then our topics at Girls Night In, obviously you saw the back of our t-shirt, and the topics at Girls Night In are carefully thought out. Basically, for the curriculum for Girls Night In, and you can jot this down in your notes, it's always going to be culturally relevant topics that are strategically chosen to target the real needs of teen girls and young women who are destroying themselves through self-destructive choices. Girls Night In curriculum is strategically chosen, and this is very important to note. Girls Night In curriculum is not youth group curriculum. It's not youth group driven curriculum. Youth group programming is readily available and addresses the needs of youth in the church culture. Girls Night In was born out of a desperate need to find relevant contemporary programming and curriculum that was not available. I looked, and it was not available. And so I want to make that point because youth group curriculum, and I'm going to tell you a little secret here. Something that I don't necessarily put out there for the girls. Over time, they learn that if they're around me through the years. But the secret is that actually I am a pastor's wife as well. And so I know what it means to be in the church culture. And I am a huge supporter of the church, and I'm a huge supporter of mentoring and and discipling kids through a great youth group, but I have to be clear what my heart broke for and was burdened for when I started Girls Night In years ago was the kids in this culture who have never darkened the door of a church and never will, perhaps. They don't know God and they don't even know they have a maker and creator. So why would they even begin to think that there's a plan for their life? So that is our target Girls Night In girl. So there's plenty of youth group curriculum available, great curriculum available, targeting the needs of kids in church culture. But this curriculum addresses the needs of this culture. And yes, our girls that are raised in the church will benefit from it too, because let's be real. The topics that we deal with are the things that they're struggling with and that we struggle with the rest of our lives. But I want that to be made really clear that this is curriculum that is not readily available, and it was strategically written to meet the needs of the kids in this culture. A strategic plan was developed addressing the real needs of this generation who are making choices that will destroy them as a result of having no plan or guidance for their lives. And our Girls Night In t-shirt is designed to be a walking billboard to attract the attention of the teen girls and young women in this culture and create interest. I cannot tell you how many conversations will be started just because of wearing your shirt. You know, whether you're at the grocery store, whether you're at the ball field. In fact, I would encourage you, wear your shirt, because the topics on the back immediately generate conversations with girls and mothers. And that really is a key element to generating, having girls to come to Girls Night In, and to families encouraging their daughters to come. The focus of Girls Night In, there are certain topics that will never be part of our curriculum. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm going to say it straight up. There are particular topics that are intentionally avoided as Girls Night In topic choices because they do not reflect our purpose, our mission, and our calling. And we are very clear on that. For instance, and once again, I'm saying this for the benefit of the whole church culture, there are certain topics that are needed, but they are best addressed in a youth group setting with kids perhaps who have the luxury maybe of two parents, their biological parents, who both care about them and are encouraging them and pouring into their lives. Also kids who have the benefit of a church family who is giving guidance to them. But remember, our target Girls Night In girl is outside of that, and she is raising herself in a culture that is going to take her down. So the topics that we choose have to arrest her attention. So topics that will never be a part of our curriculum, for instance, are modesty. And I know some of you are like, well, you see the way the kids, these girls dress today? I get it. I understand that. But if they don't know God, why would they even have an allegiance or an understanding of how their life needs to reflect that they belong to Him? So you have to remember that this is a call out to the pagan culture. And so, you know, how we dress, how we present ourselves is something that we can talk about, but our girls first have to meet God. And so for that reason, if girls saw modesty, you know, if they're walking down the school hallway, they see the back of our shirt and they see modesty listed, number one, they're probably not going to have a clue what that even means. And secondly, it's not going to call out to them like if they see addictions or depression or anxiety or sex. So another topic that we won't have as a Girls Night In topic, once again, not because it's not a topic that needs to be addressed, but that can be addressed in youth group curriculum, and that is media, music choices. We'll talk about healthy things that you pour into your mind and how what you input equals output, and it's important what you put in your mind, but we won't strategically list that as one of our Girls Night In topics. So I want you to be clear about that. And then lastly, the calling of Girls Night In. Girls Night In is missional and it's outreach driven. And I want you to discuss right now, what does it mean to be missional? What does it mean to be outreach driven? And then thirdly, what does it mean to be community focused? Because it's very important that you understand what the calling of Girls Night In is for your community. And those three things say what we are, who we are. We're missional, we're outreach driven, and we're community focused. At this point also, I want you to do some work on your own. I want you to do some reflection. I want you to take a few moments to break into teams, perhaps with the women that you are actually going to lead Girls Night In with. And I want you to reflect and discuss these three questions, because I think you really, really need to gut this out and wrestle with this. The first question is, why do you want to launch a Girls Night In affiliate? Why? The second one, what needs do you expect to meet in your community through Girls Night In that nothing else is addressing? And the third, and this is the biggie, how will you personally invest and give of yourself to meet those needs? Because I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to require a sacrifice. Mentoring is messy, and God must do a work in you before he can do a work through you. And get ready to change, because the person who will change the most will be you. Because mentoring is messy, and the cost to you personally will be great. But it is so worth it to see the transformation in your community and the lives of these girls who are revolutionized, because you care. So take a few moments together. During session 3, we want to talk about the how, and this is the exciting part. How do we launch a Girls Night In affiliate in our community? And we wanted to talk about the next steps that you can take right now to begin preparing for starting and launching Girls Night In your community. The first thing is step number 1, join the Girls Night In International Affiliate Association family. You've expressed interest in launching a Girls Night In, and we're excited to equip you to do just that. Girls Night In affiliates are launching all across this nation and literally around the globe. Remember when I shared with you wrestling about writing the vision statement of Girls Night In International and changing the verbiage, a local network of women? No. A national network of women? No. A global network of women? Yes. And I have to tell you, it's so exciting to see that actually happening personally. Last year, after we had already launched Girls Night In affiliates on the West Coast and Atlanta, other states across the nation, I received an email saying, basically, my name is Alice Peacock, and I would like to talk with you about your programming and curriculum as I do mission work in Argentina. And the girls here desperately need something like Girls Night In. So Alice actually came to the States, and I met with her for a full day and said to her, the answer is yes, we will help you. But there's one small problem, and that is that we do not have Girls Night In curriculum translated into Spanish. And we've been praying for someone who would help us with that, because we don't have the funds to hire somebody. And after listening to that, Alice leans back in her seat. You can tell she's rolling thoughts in her head, and she leans forward in her chair and said, I'd be willing to do that. So basically, Alice went back to Argentina, and once she saw how much curriculum and programming there is, she asked if it was okay to engage the help of Gabriela in Uruguay and Adriana in Chile. And so the three of them worked as a team to translate the material into Spanish. And so I'm happy to announce that because of that, we now can offer Noche de Chicas International to our Latino friends so that they can get help in their communities as well. So you actually are part of a global network of women who are energized and empowered to revolutionize the lives of young women through mentoring and impacting this generation. Once you become part of the Girls Night In International family, you are granted permission to identify with our trademark branding, the movement, and global outreach of Girls Night International. And this membership in Girls Night In International Affiliated Association grants usage of our trademark branding, our copyrighted materials, and all the programming associated with and owned by Girls Night In. So your agreement is to protect and to uphold the integrity of Girls Night In International, because we don't ever want to have to tell someone no, and we want to be able to continue to offer this to communities. So it's your job to ensure that this programming and this format and this care is taken for all of our girls so they can have the same experience and know that they are loved beyond what they can imagine and that they are welcome, wanted, and valued. So your job is to think of what you want to call your Girls Night In, your community name or your city name or whatever you want to call it, and let us know that. The second step is to begin to assemble your Girls Night In team, and this is so much fun. Volunteering and serving with Girls Night In offers amazing opportunities to utilize the talents and the skill set of gifts of women from all walks of life. And so one of the first things you want to do, the practical steps in assembling your Girls Night In leadership team, number one, brainstorm a list of interested potential team members and their area of giftedness. And that list can continue to grow as you encounter women, whether they're some of the women that are with you on the ball field, some of the soccer moms, some women that you're in community with at church, people that you know through all kinds of associations. So just start brainstorming a list of potential team members and what their skills are. And then secondly, share the story and the mission of Girls Night In with your coworkers, with your community friends, with your church friends. Thirdly, wear your t-shirt. You'll be surprised how many conversations that will stimulate and engage throughout the community, whether it's at the ball field, the grocery store, community gatherings, different kinds of events. Number four, look for teen girls. Look for teen girls. Especially keep your eye out for what I call influencers. And you know who those are. Those are the girls that if there's a party going on, they're the ones that rally all the girls and get her to come. If there's a pool party going on, if there's some kind of fun event, they'll talk and rally their friends. So look for the influencers who will rally, talk, spread the word, spread the exciting news about Girls Night In. Next, pray, pray, pray. God has to begin the work in you before he can do the work through you. So ask him to assemble an incredible group of like-minded women who have a passion to make a difference. And lastly, hosting and leading Girls Night In is a huge faith building and faith stretching journey. It is truly an adventure of faith. You and your team will learn who God is, and then you will have the incredible opportunity to share with the girls in this generation who this living God is. Because most of them don't even know there's a God who cares for them, and they certainly don't know he's a living God who is active in their lives right now. And it's really important to take every opportunity that you can to share that story with the girls. For instance, the first year of Girls Night In, I remember that, just like you, I'm still fundraising to get donors and sponsors to help provide our T-shirts, our notebooks, to provide for you. And I remember there was a gentleman in our community who wrote a $100 check. And he said, Jimmy, I want you to use this to get T-shirts for those girls. And so at our Girls Night In event, rather than just giving them the T-shirts and letting be done with that, I thought this is a teachable moment that I can show them there is a living God who cares for them. So I just said to them, the T-shirt that you're wearing right now, yes, you got it free. But the reason you did is because there is a gentleman, a businessman in our community who cares about you. And he wants you to be here so that you can be with a group of people who are going to care about you and encourage you to make healthy choices, and they're going to teach you how. But he wants you to know that he loves you. But the reason he does is because he has a God who loves him, and he wants you to know that God. And so I want you to know that God's looking out for you. And he's done it through the care of a businessman in this community who's provided a free shirt for you. And just use every opportunity you can to get the girls to start thinking outside of themselves, that there really is somebody in charge, and it's not them. Third step is begin to assign your Girls Night In team. And you've got a matrix that's laid out for you with very practical helps where you can start inserting names. But as you can see, there are ways to utilize the skills of so many women. I don't want you to be afraid when you see this page, because you could do a Girls Night In. You could do it just in a simple format. You could do it in your home, in your community with, whatever, 5, 10, 15 girls that live in your neighborhood. And you could have basically an in-home Girls Night In, and you wouldn't need all these team members. However, if you are launching a community-wide Girls Night In, this is an opportunity for so many women to use their skills. So let's just walk through real quickly some of the different teams that you can utilize to launch your Girls Night In. First of all, you'll need a program facilitator, basically the MC for the evening, to make the girls feel welcome and to move the evening along. Secondly, the setup teardown team. And depending on which venue you use for your Girls Night In, there will always be setup pieces and teardown pieces that need to be done. The leadership manual that your program facilitator has gives specifics on some of those, but just in general, you'll need a setup and teardown team. And then next, first impressions team. Basically, first impressions team are the greeters of the girls when they first arrive. You could actually use some of your Girls Night In girls themselves. In fact, I'd encourage you to use that, to do that, as especially after you've had that first year and you see who some of the influencers are. But you'll need a first impressions team that will greet the girls when they first arrive and encourage them to go through the registration line where they'll get their free T-shirt and to get their snack. Then the next team, hospitality team. Hospitality team basically is responsible to provide some type of snacks for the girls to enjoy and snack on at the beginning of the Girls Night In event when they first arrive. And it could be anything simple from just chips, pretzels, some kind of drink, to more elaborate, whatever your hospitality team wants to provide. But, some women are very skilled at that, and you could engage the help of even some elderly women in your community who say, I physically I can't get involved, but I so believe in this and I want to help. Maybe I could bake some cookies, or maybe I could bake some cupcakes. So you could have a whole roster of women who could be part of the hospitality team, and they're not even necessarily at the event. The next team that's necessary is a registration team, and I will tell you, this is a one team that a lot is required of them, because the registration team is responsible when the girls first arrive to capture all of their contact info, then import all that contact info into a database. And we have in your Girls Night In manual and all of the forms and the samples that you get, you have all the pieces that you need. So don't worry about creating your system. We've already done that for you. And but the registration team will capture all that contact info and import that into your database. But another strategic key role of the registration team, when the girls arrive, they immediately need to assess which small group this girl needs to be placed in. And so, it's for us, because, we initially started out Girls Night In for high school girls, but so many middle school mothers started calling and saying, Jimmy, please, can my middle school daughter come? Because if she waits till she's in high school, it's too late, which is true. So then we opened our doors to middle school girls. Same thing happened on the other side with college girls who realized that they were making choices big time that were going to screw them up. And so now we personally have Girls Night In girls, middle school, high school, college, and actually young mamas. So we have 4 different age group, life experience groups that we drive our girls, place them in. So, for you at the beginning, it may just be high school girls, or it may be middle school girls and high school girls. But your registration team is responsible for placing them in the small group, and that has to be pretty much an instantaneous decision. Merchandising team. Merchandising team will be responsible for keeping inventory of your Girls Night In t-shirts that every girl receives as a gift when she comes, and her curriculum. So they're responsible for keeping inventory, sizing them by small, medium, large, whatever, and putting them in bins, transporting them to your meetings. So anything involved in merchandising. We also have lots of fun Girls Night In gear that the girls can purchase, from jerseys to backpacks to totes, all kinds of interesting, fun things for them. So your merchandise team is responsible for all of the product. Next, small group leaders. And I would say registration team, small group leaders, those 2 teams require a huge commitment from time. Small group leaders, obviously we talked about that earlier, but when we break up into small group session, the small group leaders lead the small groups of girls. But we also encourage them to meet with the girls outside of our Girls Night In events, whether they go to Starbucks and meet, or they go bowling together, go to a movie together, just ways to be invested and involved in each other's lives. And also small group leaders, there's definitely a spiritual element involved, because they are mentoring the girls one-on-one. And so the small group leaders need to be women who are passionately in love with God and have a hunger to know Him and to help the girls to know Him. And the next team is the marketing and fundraising team. And kind of tag teaming with that, whether you have like a fundraiser at whatever, Orange Leaf Yogurt or pizza place, or, you can come up with creative ideas to do fundraising. Kind of tag teaming with that is a sponsorship team. And the sponsorship team, we provide a form enabling you to encourage sponsors from your community, and your goal is to get 1 sponsor for each girl, and the sponsor donates $20, and that provides the t-shirt and the curriculum for her girl. And so we encourage you to get a sponsor for every girl, and that, you can do that through your women's group, a group of women realtors, lots of ways. Just be creative about getting a sponsor for every girl. And I will say real quickly a note on that. We do have men who sponsor our girls also, but please, 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 you have to be very careful. Our girls, a lot of our girls are minors, and we want to be very careful in today's culture to protect them. So if we have a male sponsor, he is only aware of the first name of a girl that he is sponsoring. He is not given any contact info, information about her. Perhaps just a first name, Elizabeth, ninth grade. Elizabeth freshman, and that's it. Because often a sponsor, especially if it's a woman sponsor, we do allow her to communicate with the girl, Facebook message her, send her a card, text her, but we really want to be protective of our girls and watch out that nobody has ill intent toward our girls, and it is our job to watch out and to take care of them in that way. And then the last team is a prayer team. And you will have women that say, I can't physically come and help with the events, but how could I pray? And so we actually have a prayer team that comes to our events, and they are off in the building going through the list of girls' names and calling them out one by one and covering our meeting in prayer, covering me, covering our small group leaders, covering our mentors. So the prayer team is very important because nothing of importance takes place without that. And so, that is an important team, and they don't have to be on the premises, of course, to do that, but that's a way other people can get involved. And once again, it doesn't have to be all women. Then the next step number 4, advance your Girls Night In team. And this is so exciting. Number 1, develop your Girls Night In leadership team by setting the standard high. A standard of excellence is expected. We want the girls to know that we care about them. And how does that show? In lots of ways and lots of details. And don't be haphazard in anything you do, because the way the room looks when the girls arrive, the way the food is presented, presentation does matter. And so a standard of excellence, and not just in how the place looks, but a strong commitment required from us is the second thing. I'm not ashamed to say, if you're going to be involved in Girls Night In leadership team, it is going to cost you. It is going to cost you your time. It is going to cost you your heart. It's going to cost you your passion. So don't even think about saying yes or signing up unless you recognize that this is going to take a commitment, because these girls' lives are worth it. Spiritual preparedness is huge. As I said, the person who's going to change most is going to be you. So get ready. And that leads to the last one, role models of obedience and surrender in our lifestyle. As the Nike slogan says, just do it. And basically that's what's required of us in our lifestyles and our choices to follow wholeheartedly God and what He's asking of us. And so, nothing, our actions do speak louder than our words. And so many of our girls, they have no guidance and they have no positive role models. And you're it. So what you do, how you interact, choices you make, the modeling they see in your family, they're not looking for perfection, but they want to see how somebody actually lives out this faith walk and what that looks like. And so, well, I could go on about that, but anyway. The second thing is to secure your funding to launch and maintain your Girls Night In. And I want you to know, if you work the program will work for you. We have made it so practical and so everything that you need. And, you know, if you will get a sponsor, if you will do that work of getting a sponsor for every girl is going to offset the cost of your program, and it's going to provide your needs. So, you know, the goal is a sponsorship for every Girls Night In girl who is participating. Sponsorship for each girl will offset the cost of your program, and brainstorm possible sponsorship opportunities within your community, and you can talk about that together with your team. Thirdly, secure a speaker for every Girls Night In event to share her personal story. And I know this causes a lot of fear in women who are launching Girls Night In. How do I find speakers, Jimmy? How in the world do you find a speaker for every event? And I will tell you the first and foremost thing, be a great listener. You know, as we say, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. So be a great listener, because every conversation provides possible leads for speakers. So your radar needs to be on high alert in every conversation so that you can begin to assemble a huge array of women who could fill your roster of speakers for every Girls Night In event. And remember, every girl has a story. And if you will listen, you'll hear those stories. So just keep your radar up. And then next, pray. Cover each girl, cover each G&I girl in prayer. Cover each G&I team member in prayer. And thirdly, cover each Girls Night In event in prayer. And lastly, I love this page, celebrate. Sometimes we get so busy and so serious about the work we're doing, and it is serious work, but don't forget to celebrate. Celebrate every success, because nothing breeds joy like watching God work. So don't forget to celebrate Him and share the joy. Celebrating together builds teamwork. Use every opportunity to celebrate and enjoy each other and the goodness of God. And then celebrate the girls who come to us. What a gift they are. What a joy that they trust us. What a joy that we get to pour it into their lives and invest in them. That trust is a huge thing. So celebrate it. And then celebrate the hope and the healing that God is bringing to their broken lives. And lastly, celebrate the healing and the soul restoration brought to all of us as we mentor and invest in this next generation to bring them what we did not have. So, welcome to Girls Night In International. Real girls, real need, real hope. A movement that is empowering hope. We love having you as part of our family. Mwah.